The policy argument has become about how you treat Muslims and how this appears to Muslims and whether it mitigates a threat or it actually advances a threat. And the president, in making this case, now says, hey, you know, the media is part of the problem. They underreport terror attacks that have happened, and they put out a list of 70-some-odd attacks that have happened in the 2 years that they decided to look at, and said we underreport them. Do you agree with that, Congressman?
I'll let you and the White House have that debate. What I believe
no. That's not why you were sent to Washington. This is about truth and taking care of the people, your constituency, and their agenda. This matters. What do you think about it?
No, you're right, it matters, and that's why I support the president's executive order, because, again, I think it's consistent with common sense. I think it's consistent with what passed the House of Representatives when 47 Democrats supported that legislation.
I hear you on that. Do you think the president is right to say that the media is part of the problem because we underreport terror attacks? And I'll give you a hint. That is demonstrably false. I'm holding a ledger in front of me right now of those attacks, and none of them have less than 100 media hits, even in the remotest place with no injuries.
I'll take your word for it that you did an underreport, that you actually reported some of those. But I do think, does the media have a bias?
You're looking for.
Does the media have a bias, and is the media out to make sure that they can undermine some of the things that the president's doing? I think that's pretty clear. But what I do understand about this executive order is I think it's good common sense. I think it's for the safety of America, for the safety of our country. And I think, again, America is the most welcoming planet, our country on the planet. We want to let people in here who truly deserve it. We just want to check them out before they get here.
You do check them out. You want to say you're welcoming, but you are banning them with no proof of threat.
There's a pause. It's a pause to make sure we're doing it right, Chris.
He says call it a ban. He tweets that it's a ban. It's a ban, Congressman. You're running away from the word because it is unpopular.
Well, it may be a short ban, it may be a short pause, but it's for a specified period of time to make sure that people coming into this country are thoroughly checked out.
What does it tell you that you're not even comfortable saying what it is, Congressman? What does that tell you about the policy if you're not even comfortable saying it? You wanted to call it 3 different things before I got you to say ban.
No, I want to call it what it is, checking people out before they get in this country to make sure we keep America safe. Tell me what's wrong with that. Why are you so opposed to making sure that people come into this country, that something 47 Democrats supported,
no reasonable person is opposed to
Why
good
are you
checking?
Opposed to that?
Because it's a false premise. The premise is they're getting in now and not being checked. Refugees are coming in and they may be ISIS. We see no proof of those. That is xenophobia. That is a scare tactic.
Chris, what's wrong with just checking it all out and double-checking, particularly in light of what ISIS has said? What's wrong with that?
Nothing, but we do it now.
So then why
show me how you'll do it better, and don't just scare me with what might happen when you have no way to solve it. That would be the criticism.
Chris, I'm not trying to scare you. All I'm saying is I think it makes sense when a terrorist organization says they're going to exploit a refugee law that we have, that we check it out and make sure that bad people aren't getting into this country. Tell me how that's not common sense, and it's consistent with the powers that the executive branch has for national security reasons to do just what he did. Tell me why that's wrong.
I think no, it's not about wrong. It's certainly not about what I think. I'm saying that the question is, does the executive order do what you're saying it should? And we'll have the courts examine it, and then you come back on and we'll talk about it as policy once we get the legal reckoning. Let me ask you one more thing while I have you here. You saw the interview with the president most recently on Fox. During it, he seemed to have a hard time calling out Vladimir Putin for the morally reprehensible conduct that is often ascribed to him. And instead of taking that on, he decided to create a parallel with the United States. You know what he said. He said, we're so innocent. Yeah. How about the things we've done? How do you feel about that?
Look, I'm not going to get into that. I think.
But I don't know how you duck it.
I think,
Congressman. How do you duck it?
How do you duck it? I think Vladimir Putin has done some terrible things. I think we all understand that. But I think the president's way of engaging with Russia is the same way Reagan engaged with the former Soviet Union. He said it's okay to engage, but you got to be able to walk away and you got to be able to stand up to them, just like Reagan did in Iceland when they were negotiating certain arms treaties. So I think that's the approach that he should take. I think that's the approach he is taking. What he said about the United States and comparing to Russia, I don't agree with that.
President Reagan.
But I think that engagement makes sense because that's the way President Reagan handled it.
President Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, Tear down that wall.
Exactly.
Donald Trump just said about Putin, I don't know Putin, have no deals in Russia, and the haters are going crazy. Yet Obama can make a deal with Iran, #1 in terror, no problem. Do you see these two as parallels?
I think the deal with Iran was a bad deal, very bad deal. That's why I opposed it. I think history has shown it's a bad deal. When you got the largest state sponsor of terrorism and you're allowing them, even if they follow the deal to get to nuclear weapons, I think that was a terrible deal, and I think everyone understands that.
Can you explain why our president seems determined to shelter Russia and Vladimir Putin from criticism?
I'm not for sheltering Russia. I'm more than willing to criticize Russia and criticize Mr. Putin. But I don't think it's wrong to engage as long as you can criticize when it's appropriate and as long as you can stand up to him, which I think this administration will, in fact, do.
So you have no questions about why our president seems to be sheltering Putin in Russia?
That's your terms. I think what he
said.
You
don't see it that way.
I don't agree with what he said, but I think it's okay to engage with people around the world as long as you're standing up for American interest.
Okay. So you don't like my characterization, but you don't agree with what he said either?
A lot of your characterizations in this interview.
Hey, I'm here to test your positions, Congressman, and you always bring it full effect, and I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I'll see you soon. Alisyn.
He'll never be back. Democrats staging, I know you will. That was a